You will not believe what happens when you stop giving a fuck what people think. Everyone walks around this world just desperately trying to impress people that don't matter by doing things that they don't like with people that they don't care about so they can look cool on Instagram and wonder why they're fucking miserable. So today I'm going to give you a guide on how you can actually start doing that. My best friend thinks it's my superpower, but I genuinely do not care what people think about me. Doesn't mean I don't want to be a good person. I don't have a good reputation. They're totally different things. But if you don't like me, I don't really care. I know that I'm a good dude and I do good stuff. And that is the first key, is actually understanding and knowing who you are. The reason why I joined special operations was because I was terrified that I was a pussy, right? You might be sitting here having never done anything difficult in your entire life, thinking that you're a personal trainer and the hardest thing you've ever done is a deadlift. You're a sales guy and the hardest thing that you've ever had to do is be asked to follow up and then not do it. Once you've done truly difficult things or put yourself well outside of your comfort zone, you find out who you are. You are who you are when somebody isn't looking. Like, if you reflect on this video and you're like
that,
or you know that you are a piece of shit when people aren't looking, then only you can do something about that. And you really only care what other people think because you know they're right. And you will never be good at sales or truly good at sales or as good as you can be or as happy as you can be until you stop desperately caring and seeking the validation of people that do not matter. They just don't matter. They matter as people and they matter as individuals, but they do not get to take up brain space inside of your dome. But the only reason why they do is because you're afraid that they're right and that you might be found out because you don't really understand who you are. Now, does that mean that you have to go on a mindset journey quest, right? Does that mean that like you need to cold plunge your traumas away? No, I don't think that way. I think that people who use trauma as a clickbait thing are idiots. And I think that you should just go speak to a psychologist if you have problems, because they're probably the only ones who are qualified to actually help you. And so you have to figure that side out. And so experiencing difficult things, that is why, ironically enough, actually cold plunges, I think, are probably a positive thing for most people to do because it is uncomfortable and it is like not very pleasant. And so just doing something uncomfortable and unpleasant, it allows you to realize that like things are, that you can handle somewhat difficult shit. I joined special operations. I'm a bit of an extremist. That's who I am. Like, I'm okay with it. I am an extremist. I go way too far with everything. All right. But that's allowed me to be successful, but it's also put strain on things at times. And it's made me go from like 260 pounds with a six pack to 260 pounds and fat as fuck. Like, I'm an extremist, right? So I don't like the middle ground and I have to be okay about that. And what that means is that it's going to put some people off, but I have great relationships with the people that I care about and I don't fuck people over. I'm super fair, right? Part of my ADHD is that like it's very common is to have a vitriolic sense of fairness that you stick to and that you expect others to stick to as well. And I have that in spades. I also, have a bit of a hero complex, and that's one of the other reasons why I joined the army. And so all these things, like, you just got to understand that about yourself and be okay with it. And then from there, that allows you to also have compassion for other people, because I think that there's a real issue with sales, judging people, and the nomenclature that we use is like, oh, that lead's not worth talking to, that they don't have any money. And I think that there's a really terrible thing that's happening, because I hear 22-year-olds saying that they don't want to speak to broke leads that make less than 10K a month or whatever. I just think that the psychological damage that's being done by saying that someone's not worth talking to because they don't have enough money when you yourself don't have enough money to be spoken to, I just don't think that that's going to end well for people. And I think that that combined with the fact that people are on Tinder to meet chicks and meet guys and that they can just go next. They're being taught this inbound closing only bullshit where it's like only teed up leads. And it's like, no wonder that like Gen Zs have stopped dating, right? They're waiting for laydowns. They're waiting for wives and husbands to be presented to them. They're waiting for everyone just to give you stuff. And that sucks, because the stuff that you learn along the way, it teaches you about yourself. Getting rejected hurts and it sucks. People telling you to fuck off on the phone can hurt and it can suck, right? But it's part of that natural and progressive skin thickening that happens over time, and so that you can get to the point one day where you go, mate, fucking do what you want, buddy. It doesn't affect me. And when you can truly say that, that's when you start making a lot more sales. And if you can figure out a faster way to get there, then I would recommend doing it. You know what I mean? And comparison is the ultimate thief of joy. If you are happy being where you are and doing what you're doing, then you don't owe it to anybody to do anything else, right? As long as it's moral and good and that you're not a total piece of shit and scamming people or whatever. But like if you're making 10K a month as a sales rep and everyone's pressuring you to do more, but you're happy, just say, but I'm happy. And they won't even know what to think with that, because everyone's comparing themselves to everybody else, right? That's why I know tons of people who are broke that have nicer watches than me. It's just crazy. And it all comes down to the fact they would rather be less successful but have people think that they're more successful than be insanely successful but have nobody know, right? And that is something that I have a real problem with, and I find it really sad. And, you know, if you can take one thing away from my content, it's that just be you for as long as you physically can. And the people who like you will stick around, and the ones that don't will tell you to fuck off and scream and yell and go, and they'll just leave and you'll never see them again, so who cares anyway? If you like me, fantastic. If you don't, that's cool too, dude. Like, it doesn't bother me. And that's because my personality will draw in certain people and push away certain people. And that is totally fine. A magnet has two poles. If you cut a magnet in half, you know what you get? Like if you cut it right down the north and the south, you just get a smaller magnet with the north and the south. Cut that in half, again, splits in half again. Cut in half, split in half again. You always have a north and a south. And so whatever positive elements of your personality that you have will drive negative aspects or be a negative aspect to somebody else. And that's just the way that it is. And if you want to try and please everybody, then you're trying to make, you know, a magnet with no poles. And that's also probably not going to attract anybody. It's also not going to repel anybody. So you're just going to be a lonely fucking shitty life. And so stop watching motivational bullshit and just understand and try and understand what it is that you want. And do not compare yourself to other people. Comparison is not beneficial in 99% of use cases, right? It doesn't mean you don't want to like look up to people, but you need to understand that you're not looking up to the person, you're looking up to the persona, and that's very difficult. That's very different. Also, you're not seeing the full story, and you're only going to see what people want you to see. And I've seen behind the curtain of more businesses than what you could possibly imagine, on more huge names than what you could possibly imagine. I have been asked to come in and help people who are the guru of gurus, okay, because certain things couldn't be figured out, and I've come in to help. And, you know, I don't talk about that because, like, one, it doesn't really interest, I don't think it benefits me to talk about, but two, like, I just don't really care, you know, but nothing is really what it seems. And so I try and be super transparent with everything that I do, you know, but again, like, I'm not telling you everything. Like, why would I? You know what I mean? And so just always be careful when you're trying to live up to an image of someone that doesn't live up to the image themselves. This is a bit of a different video, but I feel like if I can get through and people can stop being so sycophantic about who they follow, people can stop just trying to live up to something that is unlivable, and that they can just sit back, figure out what makes them happy, and then do that. Be a good dude, be a good chick, treat people kindly, and just do what makes you happy within the reins of morality and all kinds of that shit. And say no to things that are scummy, and, you know, be a good friend, be a good family member. And I think you'll be a hell of a lot happier than, you know, trying to sell $1 billion worth of something that you hate to a bunch of people you don't like, so you can do an Instagram post and have followers that you'll never meet give you a thumbs up. It all seems kind of stupid when you put it that way. So yeah, anyway guys, if you want more motivational content like this, let me know. Hey guys, what's up? Matt here, and I've noticed that a lot of you are not subscribed. So what I want you to do is like go over and hit the little subscription. It really helps the channel out. And if you like the kind of content that I do and you're like, hey, how can I get similar content but pay for it? Then I have a membership. You can go over and join that at any stage that you want. It's like $49 a month, up to about $200 a month. And we do like live Q&As. We have a coaching call nearly every single day. And there's like well over 100 videos, and I upload like sort of private trainings and stuff that I do all the time. So if you want to check that out, go for it. You know, sign up through YouTube, cancel anytime, all that kind of good stuff.